Hey Hannah, just finished watching your video for discussion 4. Sorry, I'm up in your face. Try to get comfy. I've been sitting all day finishing papers, doing these videos. Yeah. So let's talk about your video. So the distortions, I agree with you on the cognitive distortions that Helen has. Definitely the mind reading and the catastrophizing. Definitely agree with you there. You know, she thinks her husband, or questions if he's going to be upset that it's a waste of time, or resent her. Sorry, that was the word. Resent her for it. And then that fortune telling, thinking that, going along with that of it, him being resentful is very catastrophic. If I can say that word correctly, catastrophic for her. And then also what was the labeling, I guess, where she thinks taking this weekend class would be dumb. Or is that labeling? Yeah, did I say labeling? Yes, labeling. So, yeah, I agree with you there. How she responds to them, I guess she just gets, I think she gets Helen to really kind of go through that list and analyze how are these thoughts making you feel, but then, like, what do these thoughts mean? What are you doing? What do these thoughts represent? Something along the lines of that. I agree with you that in middle school that you see pretty much all of these cognitive distortions with kids, especially the all or nothing, the catastrophizing one. I know at my school, a lot of the kids that we have that are lower SES, because we have either middle socioeconomic through lower, like pretty low socioeconomic. So there's a real big division between the who's living a fairly decent life to those that have nothing and have horrible home lives. And so I see a lot of the disqualifying and discounting the positive, because a lot of kids are in that generational poverty cycle, and so they don't see a whole lot of positive. But you do have some that really do try to break out of that and be more positive about stuff. Let's see. I know for some of the GT kids that we've had, that emotional reasoning, especially when it comes to the social aspects, I've had several who they get so emotionally tied into something that if someone disagrees with them, use the phrase, well, that's dumb, then they're having a very emotional response to that. They really do feel dumb. They feel the impact of those words. Magnification for sure. I think that's the making a mountain out of a molehill kind of thing. Let's see. Definitely mind reading, especially the girls. Or even with relationships. Oh my God, 6th grade relationships this last year. Y'all, they're ridiculous. Like, you're kids. Stop it. Anyways, so definitely mind reading. And I think that goes along with just the middle school mentality and the stage of life that they're in. I think it was Godfreyson's. Yeah, where they are really honed in. They feel like they're the center of attention when really nobody gives a crap. Definitely the overgeneralization, the personalization, especially between kids and students, where it's like you are redirecting a kid and they just are like just taking things, or like if you, I do this a lot where it's like we do a lot of Kagan strategies. If you don't know what Kagan is, look it up. It's a whole thing. But so our classes are typically grouped into groups of like 4 typically. And so if a table's just getting a little, rowdy, but you've got the one kid that, you're like, hey, the so-and-so's group, and you say the name of the kid who's not doing anything, they can take it very personally that, why are you calling me? I wasn't doing anything. And it's like, no, I'm just identifying the group. Like, just y'all chill over there. Anyways, let's see. And definitely tunnel vision. Sorry, I'm looking at the book over here. Definitely the tunnel vision, where you get so focused on the negative. Oh my God, have I been there? My job 2 years ago, teaching 8th grade social studies with a team that were very stuck in their ways. That's, I had a lot of tunnel vision that year. Nearly did not get renewed that year. It's very, very tough year. Luckily, I have a great principal. Anyways, so, let's see. Teachers, all the same things here, especially the tunnel vision. Getting into the negative part, the dealing with the parents, you get into where some teachers have dealt with certain parents and have this just negative focus on things, but then you don't experience that. It's very different for you. But there's teachers that, I see that tunnel vision a lot. The personalization for, like, especially the 8th grade year that I took a lot of things personal when I had to realize that at that age, they just don't like anything that you are giving them. They don't even want to be in the class. They're so focused on their phones, music, relationships, friends, their extracurricular activities. And so it felt very personal that year. Mind reading for sure. I'm going to use myself. Maybe I need to go see a therapist. I'm going to use myself in this mind reading example. I know I do this with like superiors where I misinterpret body language. And I kind of get like just my internalization of, or personalization of things, like it, yeah, those things. But yeah, I'm misreading what they're thinking. I think that they think these things are really, in reality, it's not that. Let's see, labeling for sure on with teachers, labeling other teachers, labeling students, discounting the positive, catastrophizing. I see this a lot with trying to do some different things, making some changes, and then the all or nothing thinking, especially when it comes to kids and behavior and motivation. Sorry if you can hear my TV in the background. I forgot to pause it. So I see a lot of those too, on both parts. Consequences that these distortions have. Huge impact on learning and success for sure. I know there's a lot of teachers who discount the idea that the kids have to accept you as like their teacher. They're like, no, they should just, sit and learn, and that's very authoritative. But I mean, if you, sorry, I was going down the wrong train with that. But anyways, so definitely academic success. These kids have to deal, and teachers, we've got to deal with these emotional things. We have to deal with our thoughts and our feelings and our actions and our automatic responses to things. And we have to realize what we're doing And a lot of people don't know these things, so they're not going to go to therapy. How many more people should be going to therapy just to kind of understand these things or have more training with it? Because the whole goal is to teach and learn. So, I mean, if the kid they're having to deal with these things, we're having to deal with these things and do our job. But if we're not, we're really not giving our full effort, full attention to things. And that's life. We're not going to be 100% on our game every day, but it does have an impact on the overall reason we are at school. And then just going on through academic career, post-secondary, just it could really impact the direction that kids go from where they are right now. And I see that a lot with the group of kids that I have. I had a student in 5th grade when I started with the district that just super smart, definitely needs to be in the GT program, but just really, really awful home life, crappy non-existent parents, grandmother that's, not, blind and deaf and, lets the kids do whatever and parents come around. And so the kid was like, I'm just going to work at McDonald's. And that hits me and I'm like, okay, I'm not going to be a butthole. But it's like, hey, that's great. That's a good job. McDonald's actually does have some really good pay grade. You can do all those other things, good benefits. What are some other things that you could do? And so just as this kid, he's going to be in 8th grade next year, but just seeing the impact on these distortions and the discipline problems that this child has had and the way they behave in class, and if teachers don't understand or know, there's things in this kid's life that are really impacting these things. Like this is really not who this kid wants to be, but this is how they're behaving because of these factors. But you can't say everything. So I just that one example of a kid out of a numerous amount on my campus that just had to have these distortions, several of these distortions. And I just, I see the direction that they are most likely headed, but I see the direction that they could. And I think that's really what's driving me, that's really driving me to go to school counseling. So yeah, anyways, so I really do agree with you on those things at the middle school level. We see a lot of those. And then I like your idea on how you would approach this with, failing kids and students that are anxious or depressed. I think I'd probably go down a lot of the same route that you would. And I even looked up, some other things. I think using through the questioning and, or through the assessment, getting them to really change that behavior. If I get back to where I was before, I think I do a lot of questioning, a lot of the Socratic questioning, getting them to pull up evidence for for their distortion, their belief. And then getting them, I think a really, really helpful tool is that thought recording that I saw in the textbook. Getting them to talk about the situation, how they felt like physically and emotionally, what they were thinking, what did they see, and then getting them to analyze, okay, what distortion is this? And then how much do you now believe their automatic, or how much do they actually believe their automatic thought? And then definitely for the anxious and depressed, activity scheduling. I know we do this a lot for kids that are very anxious, and it's coming out in certain ways where we have scheduled certain breaks. But also with being with kids that are depressed, getting them outside, getting them to do an activity, getting them to go through, okay, what am I thinking? What am I feeling? How am I acting? What is this? What distortion is this? And getting them into a new environment, getting them to do a certain activity to help kind of reframe those and change those thoughts and change those responses. So, anyways, but I liked your video. It was very informative, and I'll see you later.